All right, well, this morning for our Sustainable Food Center segment, we are talking about cooking with wild game with Miles and Lydia Sims, founders of HuntCrafted. Thank you so much to both of you for coming in this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Now, I'm someone who's tried some wild game before. I'm not afraid to try anything. So I love that you guys are making this more accessible and teaching people ways that they can use it at home. And that's what we're going to do a little bit today. So first of all, Miles, tell us about HuntCrafted.
Yeah, so HuntCrafted is a company we started last summer. Basically, two big components to it. It's a marketplace for handmade hunting and fishing gear, and then also kind of a collection of wild game recipes. So getting people out there and doing a better job of cooking what they're catching and harvesting.
So tell us a little bit more about venison.
You know, really what we're trying to do is just educate people on how it's different, you know, how it cooks differently than maybe a steak.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot leaner. You have to do a couple things, which Lydia's going to get into, about how to kind of binding agents and add some fat to it. So like what we're doing today with the meatballs actually has some pork ground in, so it adds fat. And so just, you know, understanding that it cooks faster, it's leaner, and then you can do a lot with it. It's really versatile. Ground venison's probably our #1 go-to for our family for when we're eating meat.
Versatile and delicious. And one thing that you can do with it is make meatballs, which you're going to demonstrate for us this morning, Lydia. So how do we get started?
Excellent. So we have just a very useful, handy, affordable little kitchen top mixer. And so like Miles said, we've mixed in about ½ pound of venison with ½ pound of pork. And it's nice to use the grinder to do that, so it really blends the meats together a lot better than it would mixing with your hands.
Right. Okay, so once you've got the ground meat.
Yep, so we've got the ground meat. And like Miles said, you have to add moisture, a binding agent.
Right.
I really like to do, if about a pound of meat, 1 egg.
Okay.
So it's a 1-to-1
That's
ratio.
kind of what we have right here.
Yeah. So we're going to put an egg in there. And then almost every recipe I cook has some garlic. So I've got some crushed garlic in there. And then just a couple of tablespoons of fresh parsley chopped up. And the onions, you want to make sure they're really finely chopped so that they blend into the meat. You don't want to have huge chunks of onions. So I've got the onions in there. Dump those in there. And this is about half an onion. Half an onion. These are breadcrumbs. You can do any kind of breadcrumbs you like. These are the Italian seasoned, pre-seasoned breadcrumbs, so it already adds kind of the salt, seasoning, some herbs, some spices. And we dump that in there. And then a little bit of fresh basil.
Wow, these are going to be delicious.
They're really good.
Yeah.
Right, and so really, this is when you get down and dirty and just stick your hands in there, and I just mix it up with my hands and moosh it all together. And so what you're looking to do is make meatballs that are about 1.5 inches wide. And the important thing is you can make them as big or as little as you want. You just have to adjust your cooking time. But really, they just make sure they're all the exact same size, so they all cook evenly.
And one tip that that we do recommend is when you do get venison, you know, every animal's different, is to take a little piece and cook it first and try it before you take a couple pounds and cook it and just kind of see how it cooks up, because it's not as consistent as like farm raised animals. So you may have something that cooks a little faster, tastes a little different, and then you'll get a sense of that. And then you can kind of decide, oh, I'll need a little more spices or add some more pork, that type of thing.
Good advice. You're teaching a class coming up at SFC about cooking with wild game.
Yep, it's on November 6th at 6:30. And so we'll be talking a little bit about just how to cook for your family, because that's what we do, and doing some really kind of fan favorite recipes. So we're going to be doing a beef and broccoli with venison instead of beef. And then we'll be doing a chicken fried venison. And then we'll be doing this meatball recipe as well.
Delicious. Okay, we've got the finished product.
The finished
over here. This is what those meatballs will look like.
We like to serve this up appetizer style, and this sauce is not a marinara sauce. So it's not your typical Italian sauce. It's just crushed tomatoes. You've got onion powder, garlic powder. We're making it for adults today, so I've got 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper in there.
We usually don't do that with the kids.
A little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt.
Oh, so fresh.
Yeah, it's great. And so this is more of a vinaigrette style, and so we'll just put a little bit of white wine vinegar in there, and then olive oil.
Now that's going to be delicious. Mix it up.
Mix it up, and then it will be used as a dipping sauce for the meatballs.
Yeah, that looks great.
All right.
All right. I'm going to try one of these before we are out of time. That looks absolutely delicious. Where can people go to find out more information?
So go to the Sustainable Food Center website, and all the class information is there. And you can buy tickets. It's $40 to attend the class. And again, I think we mentioned it was on November 6th.
Oh my gosh, these are delicious. These are excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Love it. Guys, thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Thank you so much for having us. I appreciate it.